Hello, Craig.
Hello, Colin.
It is true, we are once again continuing our MCU sprawl. This time we are in Phase 2 with Captain America Winter Soldier, which did come out in 2014. And Craig, what did you think of Captain America Winter Soldier?
It is easily one of the best MCU movies and probably comic book movies ever made.
Yes, it is very good. It holds up pretty well even to this day. Is this controversial to say that it's probably the best Cap movie?
I don't think it's that controversial. I'm pretty sure people agree that it's better than Civil War, though they definitely maybe it's not as good as Brave New World, but
Oh, well, of course. Nothing is as good as that. But yeah, I enjoyed this. It's pretty good. Like I said, best Cap movie. Do you want to talk about the negatives first, or is there any background info you want to talk about?
well, this is not so much about the movie itself, but that stretch in 2014 from this movie to I think Godzilla 2014, that was
Oh,
a pretty
yes.
good stretch of summer blockbuster movies.
It
We
was
had
a crowded summer in 2014. We had Cap, we had Godzilla 2014, which came out in May. I believe Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was bad, that came out
yeah,
two
boo.
weeks before Godzilla. 2 weeks after, or maybe a week after Godzilla, was X-Men Days of Future Past, which is the best X-Men movie. We covered that last year. I strongly believe it's the best X-Men movie.
It was just amazing how many good movies came out in that short amount of time.
Excluding Amazing Spider-Man 2, of course. That was just a terrible movie.
Well, I said good movies, not
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
movies coming out.
But
I'll never
this
forget A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh yes, Craig, I stumbled upon that real quick, our old review, and I was like, yeah, it's still bad. That movie, it's still bad. Waste of time.
You're not funny. And another movie which we're not as high on was Transformers Age of Extinction. So that was a lot of big
Oh
blockbusters movies that came
yes.
out in a short amount of time. That's when people actually went to the movie theaters before the pandemic.
I mean, we were in the movie theaters like it felt like every weekend almost for that stretch of movies. You want to start with the things you didn't like? Because I know I can imagine what you liked. What
Well,
didn't you like,
some of
if
the
any?
jokes,
Yeah.
really, especially towards as we got towards the end of the movie where things are getting more serious, like when Cab gave that speech motivating the Shield
Oh,
soldiers,
and then
and then, well, did you write
yeah.
that down or did you have that memorized? It's like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to say that.
I was gonna say the same thing. Again, with these Marvel movies, they have a knack of having humor undercut serious moments, and especially a movie like this where essentially Cap realizes that everything is corrupt, it's not as black and white as it used to be. There should be no jokes in the second half of the movie at all. And there's nothing wrong with having no jokes in the second half of your movie, especially if it calls for it, if it's serious. I think it's fine not having jokes because you have to let the audience feel the seriousness and like, oh wow, these are real stakes we're feeling. We don't need jokes at all in the second half. And yeah, I agree. I hated the humor. This is his best interpretation of Falcon for Sam Wilson, and it just goes downhill from here. He just becomes joke machine.
Because he was fine up until maybe post snap he was replaced by a scroll. Because even Civil War I thought he was fine. He didn't do much in Endgame or Infinity War, but for the most part I thought he was fine. It's post snap he completely lost his mind. Maybe his brain was scrambled or something. But yes, I agree. This
Yes.
is probably the best Falcon that we ever got in the MCU. Probably best a lot of characters. Best Nick Fury, best Cap, you could say. Best Black Widow,
I think
best Maria
also,
Hill.
yes. For me, Winter Soldier isn't really in the movie a whole lot. Even though it's called Captain America the Winter Soldier, it's more about just Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. and Alexander Pierce. Winter
hmm
Soldier is just kind of there for set pieces, and that's really it. I don't want to say he feels underutilized or it's a bad thing per se, because I think everything else is well done, but I feel like if, I'm sure there are Winter Soldier fans out there, Craig. If you're a big Winter Soldier fan, maybe you'd be a little disappointed that he's not really in the movie a lot.
Maybe, but I don't know. I feel like he played his role well as the assassin. Then when they reveal his identity, you see the troubled Bucky past that he had as Bucky.
But he's not really a character, it feels like, in the movie. He's just, I want to say he's there. He's more than there. He's present, I
But
want
then
to
again,
say.
isn't that what it was in the comic? I actually have the comic in front of me. It's been a long time since I
I've
read
never
it.
read
So
the comic. I know Winter Soldier, especially for this movie, wasn't even around for 10 years. I think Winter Soldier was introduced in 2006. So it was a fairly new storyline at the time.
well, there's actually a joke that I've seen about in comic books where no one stays dead except for
Uncle
Uncle
Ben,
Ben,
yeah.
Jason Todd, and it used to be Bucky. Now, obviously, Bucky came back to life. When he died, when he came back in the 60s, he was dead. They didn't bring him back until 2005. So that was kind of a big deal, and it was more of a shock at the time because who would have thought it was Captain America's World War II teenage sidekick?
Even in this timeline, he's older than Cap by a year.
And it was a lot more obvious. I mean, the way he died was too obvious getting experimented on by Zolo.
Yeah. We already
Not the
talked
same
about,
effect, but
yeah.
yeah. The humor is what was easily the worst part of it. Because I know you were mentioning undercutting serious moments, but there were times where some jokes worked. I mean, maybe it's more of a serious point, but I just feel there's no reason to have that. Like when Cap saying, "Who's the good guy from the bad guy?" Oh, whoever's shooting at you. That doesn't really need to be said. Or when Cap said had a big breakfast. I feel like they're really trying hard to make jokes when it's not really necessary.
Especially when, again, things are very serious and everyone's been lied to. They don't know who's good, who's bad, because obviously Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D., for those who don't know. So I don't know. There's really no need for humor. It feels like Marvel kind of panics when they don't have humor. They're like, oh, too many minutes without humor. Oh, God, we gotta have a joke.
It's definitely the least offensive because you could have some fan edit just cut out the jokes. I mean, it was still a good movie, would be an even better movie if you cut out those jokes.
It
But
doesn't
it
in
doesn't
any
ruin the
way,
movie.
yeah, it doesn't even take off any points towards the movie. It's just like, it's not a CinemaSins nitpick. It's a nitpick, but I think if they did not have it, it would keep the tone more straight. It'd be a more straight line instead of having these peaks with the stupid humor.
Yeah, because some stuff got me to laugh, but it was never. This isn't a comedy.
Yeah.
Like
Again,
we're at the mall, right? When that guy's making weird comments at Steve and he's very uncomfortable. I think that was funny.
if you have your jokes in the beginning before things get real, that's fine. I think that's acceptable, but it's when, again, he thinks Nick Fury is assassinated in front of him. And
That
there,
just happened.
you want to talk about Alexander Pierce? Did you like him? The late Robert Redford. What
I
do you
thought
think
he
of?
was fine for his role. Although I have seen people complain that they're saying he should have been the Red Skull in disguise. And I feel like it would have ruined the seriousness of it, but also I kind of agree. Just because I would like to see the Red Skull again.
Hmm.
But I also I might have made the movie worse, so I'm kind of torn. I'm pretty sure you probably think he should have stayed Pierce.
Yeah. Because I think we talked about Red Skull and how he was a generic bad guy, essentially, in the first Captain America movie. So for him to infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D. and have that mask on for all these years and killing millions of potential enemies who might resist Hydra, I don't know.
A lot of the reason why I'm torn is because I would like to see the Red Skull again. I know didn't leave the greatest impression the first time around, but just having him be, I don't know, I think he's a fun villain. He's just so over the top evil.
I think Red Skull maybe wouldn't have worked in a more serious modern story. Like you could have him in the pulpy 1940s action movie, but
Yeah,
having
not
him
saying you're wrong.
in real world, he would look weird.
What I'm torn is maybe the more comic fan who would like to see the Red Skull. And then there's the one like, well, that's probably going to make the movie worse, the realist in me.
Oh yeah, well let me ask you this because I know we talked about Red Skull and I had to look up pictures for the video for Captain America. Was he ever really brought back after the 60s? Because originally, as we mentioned, he was directly tied to Nazis. I know,
Yeah, he was brought back
obviously.
tons of times.
Okay. Well, what's his role in when he's brought back? What does he do? I know he's more tied to Hydra now.
I don't know, world domination, all that stuff. There was a comic event where I think it was in the 2010s where he stole Professor X's brain.
What?
Yeah, the comics are weird, but he's been around for a long time. Well, he was the main villain of the Winter Soldier storyline. It was
Oh,
he was
really?
yeah, it was he was basically Alexander Pierce, but the Red Skull, I think, had his brain inside the guy because he obviously didn't have the Red Skull look to him. It was just the normal old guy. Look, he did look like Alexander Pierce.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's where they got the inspiration for Pierce then.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
definitely.
Yeah. I did not know that. So he put his brain into I mean, I guess they already got that fill with Armin Zola, who put his consciousness into a computer terminal.
Oh yeah, and he's also had the robot body in the comics. Like I said,
Yeah.
it would probably would have ruined the seriousness. I mean, you could even argue Zola was a little too silly, but I didn't think it detracted much from the movie. And I do agree, Red Skull probably would have been a little too goofy, but I would like to see him, so that's why I'm torn.
Well, would you have been fine if it was his brain inside of Pierce's body? Would that have, do you think, suffice the fans? Or do you think they would have wanted to see Red Skull's face?
Well, I think because in the comic he usually has like a mask on. So if he pulled off his mask and it was the Red Skull's face, I think that would have been the happy medium, right? He looks like a normal guy because obviously he can't be running around with the Red Skull mask pretending to be a politician or whatever he was,
I think his Secretary of State
or
called him Mr.
former secretary.
Or whatever, they called him Mr. Secretary. I don't know how you feel about this, but this was in my head. Do you think it would have been better if they just killed off Nick Fury in this movie?
I'm actually glad you brought that up because I fully agree with that.
Because
And not because people seem to get mistaken. It's like the Game of Thrones mentality. We have to kill off characters because otherwise we're seen as a childish thing. Killing off characters is usually a bad idea. I only say this, and I brought it up to you over the years, so I think maybe that's where I don't know if you're getting that from.
no, I was
But
just watching it today, and I thought it would have been better if he was just killed off.
well, my theory is Nick Fury is a very paranoid person and survives a lot of assassination attempts, has tons of life model decoys. So him
Yes,
surviving assassinations isn't out of character. My whole reason for killing him off is that he did absolutely nothing after this movie.
that's what I was gonna mention. That this is probably his highlight for what he does in terms of these Marvel movies. And Captain Marvel doesn't count because that takes place in the '90s.
Also,
So
it hurt his character. So
yeah, because you have that thing where he outsmarts Pierce in this movie. You have to use both eyes. He takes up his eye patch. He has his horribly scarred eye. Only for Captain Marvel, where this alien thing in the shape of a cat scratches and destroys his eye.
yeah,
Stupid, completely stupid. But
I remember
Nick
when I saw
Fury,
that. We'll get to it later.
Nick Fury has really nothing to do throughout the MCU besides babysit Spider-Man, or excuse me, Iron Boy or Iron Lad. So I think it would have been more impactful if he was killed off in this movie. And maybe I would have my opinion changed if they did more with Nick Fury. But as it stands, they did nothing with Nick Fury.
Well, if you want to recount what he did after this movie, he appears with the helicarrier, which wasn't really necessary in Age of Ultron. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
appear when he was probably very much needed in Civil War
Mm-hmm.
to kind of help ease the tension. Next appearance was Infinity War as a post-credit scene.
He
He
didn't do
appeared
anything.
in
He dies.
Yeah, appeared in Captain Marvel
He,
as young Nick
yeah.
Fury and butchered the character, so good job. I know he made some appearances in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, but that's not even canon, so who cares?
He appeared
Then
at
he
the
said,
funeral at Endgame for Tony
oh
Stark.
yeah, great. He babysat Iron Man, but it was even him was a scroll. And then the magnum opus for Nick Fury's character was the Secret Invasion show, where they basically just tried to dump on him the whole time. I made him like the worst guy in the world because he couldn't. They're basically putting Captain Marvel's failure onto him.
I'm sorry, you are entirely right. I completely forgot. There were scrolls, Maria Hill scroll, Nick Fury scroll, and Iron Lad too.
Yes.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, so I think just having Nick Fury killed off would have been a lot better. And you could
Oh,
bring him back
and he appeared in
for
the Marvels, but
yeah, no one cares about that. I think
so
maybe if you kill him off, it's not to spite the fans, just to show how deep the Hydra corruption was and the severity of it.
I was just looking at it more from a utilitarian aspect of we don't really have a use for him anymore, so
Well, that
we're
too, yeah.
probably better off kill. Because I know what you're saying too. For the story, it would have been more effective if they did kill him off, Nick Fury. It was kind of like killing off Coulson, but Fury's a more important character.
Yeah. I like the idea sometimes that if you do kill off a character, you have to send off the message that no one, and when I say no one, it's like wink wink kind of, because you know some characters are safe, but it's to instill the idea that no one is safe. So if they get Nick Fury, the ultra paranoid guy, they catch him slipping, there's consequences.
That's true, but I've always looked at it differently, where characters have certain roles. You know, Nick Fury is more of the mentor, the wizard role, or the mentor role, where his role is to kind of guide the heroes, forms the
Oh
Avengers.
yeah, that would
Then
have been
after he does
fine.
his role,
Yeah.
you kind of kill him off. Usually, most stories are you kill off the mentor at some point because he doesn't serve a purpose anymore. Now it's the hero has to take up the mantle without their mentor using what he taught them.
The son
Uh,
becomes the father and the father becomes the son.
yes. But that's how I look at it. He kind of did his purpose. He formed the Avengers, got them to meet, and then at that point, they didn't have a purpose for him. And they also killed off Shield because at least he was running Shield. He could have been doing stuff in the background, but they destroyed him and Shield, so he couldn't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
Which was a
Kind of.
great twist, by the way.
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone really saw that coming
I
back
didn't either. I
then.
mean, I usually looked at leaks at that time, but I don't know if I was looking as much. I think I got more into it after this movie because this movie really was so good. I was like, wow, we're back on the hype train, boys. Thor the Dark World, a little shaky. Winter Soldier, back on. We're
Yeah.
so back.
What else you got for me, Craig, for Captain America?
I know we mentioned this. This is probably the best version of every character, especially not in the disgusting hands of Joss Whedon. Captain America
Hmm.
becomes very cool.
Yes. Captain America is a man out of time, but no one is making jokes at him about how he got time displaced.
Actually, there was a joke, but I felt like the joke was appropriate. In the
What
beginning,
was the
Black
joke?
Widow says, "Anyone know where to look for a
Smithsonian, yeah,
fossil?"
yeah. Well, they're in DC too. It's appropriate.
But to me, that got a chuckle out of me. She wasn't necessarily making fun of like Joss Whedon's humor, where oh, he's 100 years old. He's like the old man, raising his cane at the kids.
It didn't
No, he's
feel
just
mean
time displaced.
spirited. It was just like a little jab.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like their dynamic that they really kick up in this movie. It's more like a brother sister kind of dynamic. I don't want to
Why
say
did you say
that.
brother
I
sister?
don't want to say
Because
maybe friends because they do kiss. Friends.
Well, I was only saying don't say the brother sister thing because people were saying that these two should have gotten together as a couple. But then, of course, Joss Whedon's got to throw a wrench to everything. Then he makes Black Widow and
So,
Hulk a couple.
so you think that's what they were leading up to in this?
I think that's what people were probably, I would guess. It's not unfounded too. I'm pretty sure, I mean, everyone dates everyone in the comics, but I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure they date
sure.
in the comics. And that you mentioned that Ultimate Avengers set of movies,
Yes, I did
they
mention it last
become, I
week.
think that movie, they become a couple and they have a kid.
No
So it's not
kidding.
completely
Really?
unfounded.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's why to me, and I feel like it makes sense if she's going to date anybody.
It'd be
I
Steve
feel
probably.
it made the most sense. At least they had the most chemistry together, not her and the Hulk.
Yeah, well, don't worry, Craig. We're gonna get there very soon.
I'm not mad that they did it together. I just picking the Hulk was the weirdest thing.
I think picking the Hulk was the worst option you could have picked. Maybe next to Nick Fury. But that's interesting, though, that this movie tried to at least set up that I don't even know what to say. There might be something there, might not. Maybe it's just co-worker respect. I don't know.
Well, everyone respects Captain America.
Yes. And it was always weird that we don't find out what's her name? The nurse, who's a SHIELD agent.
Oh, Peggy Carter's niece.
But we don't find out that it's her niece in this movie.
Yeah, we don't, which
That
makes it even weirder.
that's something that they introduced in Civil War, I think, right?
Yes. So, funny thing about Sharon Carter. So she's actually the
Sharon.
main.
Yes.
Yes, she's actually Cap's main love interest in the comics, not Peggy Carter. Peggy Carter, I'm not sure she was much of a character. It was always Sharon Carter that was Cap's
Right.
love interest.
She's the one in the original Civil War comic line who shoots him because she's under brain control or mind control.
Yes, but I do kind of like that they pivoted to Peggy. But the point is, that was also her gray niece, which is weird. And
That is a little weird.
I know they are supposed to reference that they end up becoming supposed to be a couple or because they're famous comic book relationship, but they never really do anything after this. This is probably the most screen time they get together. She doesn't do anything in Civil War. They completely forget about her in Infinity War and Endgame. And then she does appear in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
She does. Okay.
Yes, but as a bad guy.
She's a villain?
Yeah. Well, I didn't watch the show. I've only seen stuff talked about it, and she calls herself Power Broker and says she rules the criminal underworld in Madripoor. So she's a bad guy. Maybe she's really mad that Marvel tossed her to the curb for Peggy, and this is her getting her revenge.
Well, I don't think that's true, Craig, because it's Marvel that wrote that. That's crazy. They made her a villain?
hmm
Wow.
We also forget she's even in the show or in this universe because how little she appears and what little she
Yeah.
does.
Interesting. Okay.
But
Huh.
that's why it's fun to go. That's why it's fun going through these movies, seeing where things start. Anything you think, oh, they should go here. This would be interesting. And usually, most of them they pick the worst thing.
Well, yeah, they butchered Maria Hill, Nick Fury later on with Secret Invasion. They
Weird.
butchered
All these bad things tend to be after Endgame.
they butchered Falcon, who I also liked his redesign. I don't know. I didn't look up anything about whether people liked his redesign in this movie. I think it looks tactical. It looks good. Because his comic book costume, Craig, it looks terrible.
I'm pretty sure it's based off the Ultimate
I
Universe.
think this is one of the few instances where the Ultimate Universe got it right. Because usually the Ultimate Universe costumes are just terrible. Thor looks like Poseidon with Stormbreaker. He looks so weird in that Ultimate Avengers movie.
hmm
I don't like Captain's redesign. I don't like that. Iron Man's suit looked terrible in that movie.
Oh, and Man of the Wasp. Don't even get started on those guys.
Yeah. But I think because I know that's his background in the movie, at least. He was a former, I want to say, paratrooper, but not paramilitary. He wasn't a paratrooper.
Well,
He
again, which
was.
I think is also borrowed from the Ultimate Universe because I don't know what his origin was in the main universe. It wasn't anything crazy.
But this makes
I
sense
don't
though,
think he
because
was.
he's kind of similar to Steve. He's a person who served, and they just want to fight for what's right, and I think that works well. And he, like I said, he's great in this movie. His introduction of Steve doing laps around him, like a pro in Mario Kart, going up against the level 1 computer.
He's snaking. You ever hear about snaking?
What's that?
In Mario Kart DS, the best Mario Kart game, not really the best, one of the best. There's a technique where you just constantly drift, and apparently that's a lot faster than just going straight on a course. So they call it snaking. And people always complain about how kids on Wi-Fi would snake across the course and destroy everybody.
Did not know about that.
Oh, I never encountered it. I remember playing Mario Kart DS online. I never encountered snaking.
Hmm.
Maybe I was so bad I was put in the bad lobbies.
I'll have to look up what Falcon's original origins was, but I like what they did in this movie. I think it was good enough. And then again, it's a shame looking at 2014 Falcon and then going down the road to 2025 Falcon, where he's Captain America. He's incompetent. In the Thunderbolts, we find out that he's mad that there's the new Avengers, even though he didn't do anything with the name. It's stupid. It's so
Well,
stupid.
it's even funnier watching this movie when you realize that he's a counselor helping veterans with PTSD. And then he seems to have a vitriolic hatred to John Walker, who's also going through some mental stuff and doesn't seem to care and tells him to suck it up and give me back the shield, boy.
Wow, how noble of Sam Wilson.
Yes, the former counselor does not seem to recognize or care about a former soldier going through something traumatic.
Talk about character assassinations.
That's what I'm saying. I think maybe it was a scroll that replaced him after the snap because I don't that's not the same guy that was before the snap. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. That's true.
I know we touched upon Black Widow for a bit, but this is why when people say she doesn't belong on the Avengers, I feel like this is why she's perfect for these not lower stakes, but like lower levels
Like
of
the
villains.
espionage. Yeah.
Yes, like
Kind of thing.
spies, assassins. This is her realm. This is where exactly where she thrives. She is not meant to be fighting alien invasions or purple aliens with white feeders or giant AI robots who are genocidal, have a god complex. That's not her realm of expertise. She should be fighting other assassins and other shield villains.
I totally agree. And we talked about it in our Avengers video, how they originally wanted Ant-Man and the Wasp because Edgar Wright was dragging his feet. We never got that because he took forever to make Ant-Man, and he didn't even end up making Ant-Man.
Because it's not to say we hate Black Widow, but you got to know your lane. Her lane is
Yeah,
shield stuff, shield
her
level
and
stuff.
Hawkeye, they have to just, know your lane. They're out of their depth in the Avengers team-up movies where they're fighting aliens, where, like Thanos. Like, what is Black Widow going to do to Thanos?
Also, she never fought him.
Yeah. All he did was throw rocks at her and trap her in the ground. And she couldn't do anything. She couldn't get out.
Honestly, he could probably do nothing to her, and she couldn't stop. Like she could just let her shoot her in the head a million times, wouldn't be able to kill her. Like, what's she gonna do? Scissor kick him,
At
or
her strongest, she could do nothing to Thanos. At her strongest. Even to
and
Ultron, what can he really do? He's made of vibranium. What are you going to do? Throw little electricity balls at him and shoot him?
well, when we get to the other Avengers movies, they always have to try really hard to give her something to do because of how weak she is. Even Hawkeye, I know we've clowned on Hawkeye for a bit, but at least he's a long time Avenger where he has more of a claim to be in the movies, and he fights at a distance. So at least, sure, he's maybe not lethal, but he's also not putting himself in harm's way. She always puts herself in harm's way, which makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah. But I agree. These I want to say lower stakes because millions of lives are at stake. But the espionage kind of side of it, where she's fighting people of equal strength, even though Bucky is a super soldier, but people of equal skill and almost equal strength is what she's good at. And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
story
she
she
say
should
Bucky
stay
should
in.
maybe Bucky's stronger and stuff, but she has her Widow Sting that could disable his arm and stuff, and she
Yeah.
can trick him, what she was doing, which again, that can even the playing field. Thanos, okay, good luck.
I know we're going to be talking about Civil War, but again, I think why this is the best Cap movie is that they played it more straight, and then there were stakes. Because in Civil War, we're not going to dive too much into it again because we'll have our own episode. But I rewatched some of Civil War, Craig, and I hated that battle at the airport. I hated it.
I'm not as mean, I'm not as down on it as you, but I know why.
Yeah. But I like that this one, it took itself seriously. The characters had conviction, that everything made sense.
I
Nice.
just feel this is such a good movie because I feel like you could almost pick any scene out of the movie and it's worth rewatching. Almost any scene.
Well, we forgot to
Even,
mention the elevator scene too, Craig, where he just beats up all
well,
those people.
well, of course that we'll get to the action, but I was even talking about the scene where Nick Fury is talking about his dad or his grandfather working as an elevator operator. Even the small scenes like that are great to rewatch. How, yeah, what do you have in the bag? Loaded 22 Magnum. Just small scenes like that's how you know it's a good movie. Because some movies are bad, you only try to pick out the good scenes. This has so many good scenes, you could take almost any out and it'd be worth rewatching. Which to
Yeah.
me is a sign of a good movie. Like that's how I feel about Spider-Man 2. Even in the Infinity War, it's other top movies. First Iron Man. This to me is in that category of top tier.
Oh, yeah. I think it will always be a top tier Marvel movie, superhero movie. I always get a chuckle out of the scene where Nick Fury's in his car in DC and he just gets ambushed. But he's so paranoid. His car has like the best plexiglass window where it can withstand that bolt for a couple of hits. He has a machine gun in it. It has flight capabilities that got knocked off. And then Craig, he has his laser cutter that he can cut through concrete and the car and escape. The man is the most paranoid guy. It works for him because he's like that in the comics. Like you said, he has the real life model decoys in Marvel Alliance too. And yeah, it just fits his character.
It's a shame because I do wish we got more Nick Fury. That's why it's almost better off killing him off because you'd have to force to tell him cool stories in the past as
Well, they
opposed
kind
to
of got it wrong from the start with Nick Fury too. And that's a kind of a trend with some of the characters in the MCU where a lot of them they just fundamentally got wrong from the start. And they always
yeah.
tried to readjust, and their idea of readjusting was doing the complete opposite. So it's not really a readjustment, like Thor, for example.
Well, they had to get Thor right. They didn't have to get Nick Fury right.
Well, I feel like it's important to get Nick Fury right.
Yeah, because to me, he's always been a
He's like the
Marvel
central
staple.
figurehead in the grand scheme of things, at least for S.H.I.E.L.D. He's very important.
Oh yeah, very important, especially yeah, he's the main Shield character. Now, Colin, I have a question for you.
Do pray tell.
As we've mentioned, Marvel typically has very troubled productions. Had this movie have a troubled production? Because I don't remember hearing much from this movie.
I didn't see anything, honestly. I mean, to be fair, I didn't really look a whole bunch into it, but from what it seems, it went pretty smooth.
That's what I think too.
The Russo brothers did focus more on practical and doing things as real as they could in favor of CGI. And a lot of it you could tell is real. Obviously, the giant helicarriers in the sky shooting at each other is going to be CGI, but a lot of it looked pretty good.
Oh,
It
you
looked, it
told me they
looked
didn't build the giant
tangible.
shipyard, Colin, to house those giant helicarriers?
They could have done it miniature, Craig.
I mean, I guess, but whatever.
It seems like to me that they at least tried to do things in camera and as real as possible for this film, and it looks good because its budget isn't in the 200 millions. I looked at it today. It said 170 to 177. And granted, in 2014, that is a lot more than what it is now, but it wasn't over 200 plus million like
Well, I mean, look at the
Captain America.
Avengers. Yeah.
Or when I mean Captain America, I mean the new one.
I was also comparing it to the Avengers, which came out 2 years before, and it was a lot less than that.
What else, Craig? What else you got for me?
The fight scenes in this, I think, had blown out every single movie, and almost most movies since this movie. I don't think the action comes close to this movie in most cases.
No, you're talking about the choreograph, right? Choreography.
Well, both. I mean, I think the fight scenes are just cool and fun to watch, but also the fight choreography. They really stepped up their game.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Because I know Cap fighting in the first Avenger, he was more inexperienced, he wasn't trained. The Avengers, Joss Whedon didn't know what to do with him as usual. And then this one, they were like, okay, this guy's gonna be trained by Shield specialists. He's gonna be like the coolest action hero ever. He's gonna like kick people off the boat. Remember when he kicked the guy off the boat in the beginning? And I remember in the
That
theater,
guy's
some guy,
back breaks and he falls off.
I remember some guy in the theater was like, oh man, the guy got sent flying off the boat. That's how strong he is. And that whole scene, I think that was like the perfect introduction. He jumps out of the,
Without a parachute, yeah.
of course, because cool people don't use parachutes.
Cool people don't do things practically, Craig.
I mean, that was cool. He takes out most people in the boat and in a very brutal way, like just bashing their face and kicking them off the boat. He throws the knife into that one guy's hand. That
Oh,
guy's screaming, and
yeah.
he just kicks him in the face.
There's one thing, this is not a nitpick, but one thing that bothered me is when that guy says, what are you without that shield? And then Captain America obliges him and fights him without the shield. Now, it would have been funny to me if Captain America just shakes his head and brutally beats that guy with the shield. What does Captain America have to prove to this guy?
Sure, I don't think he's anything to prove. I thought you were going to say
There's
he
no
puts the
honor
shield back.
code. Yeah, there's no honor code with thugs and bad guys. I don't know why he's like, yeah, you're right. Why am I using this shield? Let me just beat you with my bare hands instead. Like, I would do what's easier.
Well,
I'm
not even
gonna-
easier. You have to remember, this isn't a pride thing. This is a mission where people's lives are at stake. Are you going to jeopardize it over a little bit of pride?
Yeah,
well, okay,
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, why
those
would he-
Batroc all of a sudden be like, oh, I respect you. I'm going to turn myself in.
Yeah. Why would Captain America oblige his request?
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
Now,
That was
let
me.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because Jasper Sitwell, I remembered him prior to this movie, but what movie was he in?
Wasn't it Thor?
He was in Thor?
I thought it was Thor.
Okay, well, if that's true, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, he appears in Thor and the Avengers. I don't remember the Avengers.
When they say Avengers, is that retconned with Endgame's Avengers timeline where he is there with Alexander
No.
Pierce?
No, it mentions that separately.
Okay. I don't remember him in the Avengers at all. Because I think our Thor review we did in like March. I think, or April. I don't remember when. I couldn't tell you what really happened. Maybe as a kid, I just remember things better. I do remember Sitwell, so him being evil and then Winter Soldier throwing him into the oncoming lane in traffic. I was like, oh,
I know, very
oh.
brutal. And that senator from Iron Man 2 that who
Oh,
jabs the pin
yes,
in
yes.
Tony's chest.
Yeah.
And I remember because of that scene, I remember tons of memes, people whispering in someone's ear,
Hail
"Hail
Hydra.
Hydra."
Yeah.
This is why I like doing these reviews. The little obscure things that little factoids, if you weren't there, you kind of miss. Oh, I like the strike force with the guy's name, but he's
Brumlow.
Crossbones. Yes.
Brumlow.
He was fine. I mean, generic bad guy, but at least he was intimidating enough. And the one guy who was the other guy in BVS.
Yes, that was that guy who says, I'll do it. Believe me.
Yeah, I think they did their role well. And of course, I know you mentioned some of the fight scenes. The opening fight scene was great. We had Nick Fury's escape scene, even Captain America chasing the Winter Soldier through the office place. I love that. Just having Captain America when he accidentally runs into the wall and leaves a huge dent in the wall. Like sometimes I wish I could do that. Just run around the office, just break it by running into it. Like I'm a feral animal. I don't know, it's cool. It's like he runs to the door and the doors go flying. You get the car chase. Obviously, the elevator scene, that was the most famous one where Captain America takes out an army in the elevator.
Let me
So
ask
many
you
cool
this.
fight scenes.
Let me ask you this. In the movie, at that point, I think they wanted to capture Cap, but they were going to Cap when they caught him because Brumlow mentioned this is after
Yeah.
I think they got arrested and they brought him in the car and they said something about digging 3 graves. So why didn't they just try to kill him in the elevator at that point?
I think they were trying to play nice, and I think Captain America pushed them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, because I think they were trying to play nice at first, capture him quietly, then he escapes, then they kill Zola. Cap knows too much. We got to cap him
Right. Okay. You know, if Hydra was smart, Craig, they would have just killed him right there.
in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could use a knockout gas or something.
So
They could have done
okay,
tons of things.
again, this does not represent my view of the movie or any kind of critiques. This is just a hypothetical. So if Hydra has no problem killing innocent people based off of a list of probabilities that these people could end up being an enemy or be free thinkers or whatever, they have no problem doing that. But why are they more hesitant on killing Cap if they have no regard for these people they want to kill?
Well, my guess says they don't have the gun to the Earth's head in the area. Because if say something goes wrong, say Cap gets capped and some people catch wind of it, they shut down Project Insider, they start looking into Pierce.
Okay, maybe.
Because it
You
seems
know what I'm
like
trying
they
to
were
ask though?
trying
It's
to.
just like it's so callous what their plan is. Both Cap, they kind of put on like gloves. They're like, all right, let's try to delicately handle this.
Well, they only did that at the beginning when they tried to do the elevator fight scene. Because I mean, then you get remember they launched a domestic missile at him.
Sure, yeah, they did.
I think it was more for because they try to stay under the radar. If you execute Captain America in public, I
Well,
think you get a lot of
I
scrutiny.
didn't say that, Craig.
Well, they were thinking about it. They said not here, not here.
Well, I'm just saying in the elevator scene, if the eventual plan was to kill him, why not just have like everybody has knives on them in the elevator? You have a couple schmucks get hurt, beaten up by Cap, and everyone just stabs him. I also like so both of his costumes in this movie are pretty good. The stealth one in the beginning I like a lot, and they bring back the World War II one, which I think should have just been his staple costume throughout the rest of the MCU, if I'm being honest. It's so good.
It is. I will say it's not my favorite, but it's definitely up there.
Which one is your favorite?
I do like the Age of Ultron one.
Yeah, I guess that one's pretty good too.
I mean, I know why you like that one. It's cool. Don't get me wrong, I like that one too, but the Age of Ultron one to me is the middle ground of the realistic, but because Civil War was too muted. Age of Ultron was a little more colorful.
I mean, this one's pretty colorful too. This one isn't nearly as muted as, like you said, the Civil War. It's better than the Avengers one, which isn't saying much, but
Colin's breaking new ground. Because I know one critique of the fight scenes was the shaky cam, which
I did not like that. I do not like shaky cam.
it didn't bother me all that much, to be honest. I know some movies can do it really bad, but this, I don't know, it didn't.
It's definitely a preference thing, the shaky cam.
No, I mean, I do agree it's annoying, but this to me wasn't as overdone as some other movies that do the shaky cam.
Well, I
Like
think
it is a lot, but it's not.
so. There's
I don't
two
know.
types of shaky cam. There's just shaky cam, and then there's shaky cam with lots and lots of cuts. So this one had a decent amount of cuts and it was shaky cam, but it never got to the territory of a Jason Bourne fight scene. If you ever seen anything like that, it is unwatchable. It is terrible. There's 300 cuts in a second. Well, that's an exaggeration, but there are so many cuts in a second. And then there's this great video by Corridor Crew, or I think it's Corridor, where they did
The
a
Corridor
pair.
Digital.
I think it's Corridor Now or Corridor Digital. They did a funny video where it was like cooking with Jason Bourne, and it's edited to the fight style of him like trying to open up a jar, but it has those cutscenes. He's like smacking up against a table. He's trying to kick it. It has all those stupid sound effects. It's not like that. This fight scene, it's not overdone, but I still do not like shaky cam. It has its purpose, and it's not like I said, it's not overdone in this, but
Yeah, I'm not defending Shaky Cam. I do agree it's annoying, but to me, maybe it's because I like the movie so much, but to me, it's not as bad as what you're talking about. It's getting close,
yeah,
but
it's
it's
not
not.
Jason Bourne or Taken, the Liam Neeson movies. Those are pretty bad with shaky cam. Just a little minor nitpick.
Yeah, that's what I'd categorize that as because I don't think it's unwatchable.
No, it's not
Action's still good.
unwatchable.
I mean, I said it's probably the best in the MCU. The only movie that I would think that comes close is probably Infinity War.
With the action,
Yes.
but Infinity War has different action.
I know it's not more CGI heavy. This is
Yeah,
more stunt and
this is
real
more
people
people
doing.
fighting, doing kung fu or whatever.
You're telling me Doctor Strange didn't grow like 20 arms outside of his back?
I wish. So again, the Hydra list lists potential threats. They had Stephen Strange as a potential threat, and at the time, I don't even know if a Doctor Strange movie was announced in 2014. Was
I
it?
don't think it was because actually, no, I don't think so. I remember where I was when they announced the slate for Phase 3.
Yeah.
I was in a classroom and I remember,
Okay.
yeah, all the people were excited about it. So I think it was towards the end of the year, September, from
Of
what I remember.
2014?
Yeah, so they
Okay.
probably had the idea planned.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I'm thinking, okay, what is a surgeon? Why is he on a list?
Well, they were right.
Well, they were right. So that begs the question. Okay, hold on. What year does Doctor Strange take place in?
I think it's 2016, the year it
Okay.
comes out.
Okay, because there was a reference in the beginning of Doctor Strange. Before his car accident, he's told about an army mechanic guy with like a spinal problem. And I think they were referencing Iron Man 2.
Is that true?
I
People
don't
thought they were
know.
referencing Rhodey.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's Rhodey. Okay. Maybe I saw, the YouTube shorts. I saw one of those.
Oh no, you clicked on it.
It was
Oh
probably
no. Oh
Rhodey then.
no.
Oh, I'm such a schmuck. Yeah.
Well, to be honest,
Rhodey
I've
makes
seen that
sense.
too.
Rhodey makes sense.
I think it was a case of they just happened. It's just a coincidence.
Okay, yeah. Because I was gonna say, there's no way Doctor Strange takes place in 2010. There's no way.
Well, I guess we'll talk about that. But I remember seeing a theory about when it took place, and then when they told us the actual date, I was disappointed.
For Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Do you know the actual date?
It is 2016, but there are rumors
Yeah.
that it was going to start in 28 or 2010 when Iron Man takes place. He'd be training for a good amount of years as opposed to being a master overnight.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
But of course, that's why they didn't do it.
All right, what else you got, Craig, for Captain America?
So I mentioned before how this has many great scenes.
Hmm.
Cap reuniting with Peggy was very tragic.
Yes, it's very sad.
Just the regret that she has for him, the fact that he's happy, because happy he's alive. You wish she
What
could
could
live
have
life with
been?
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what could have been?
And of course, they hit you with the gut punch where she has Alzheimer's, and I shouldn't be laughing, but then she forgets the entire conversation, and just Cap's doing his best to manage the situation. That's the only person he has left from his past.
Well, we talked about in the Avengers video that they had cut out some deleted scenes with Cap where he's looking through files and he just sees everyone he knew is dead. So, I mean, I know this movie has a pretty hefty run time. I wish they had a little bit more scenes. Maybe not so much with Peggy, but again, I guess I would have maybe gotten my fill of that kind of Cap if they kept that in the Avengers. But because the Avengers neglected that and instead wanted to make fun of a poor guy who got time displaced and everyone he knows is dead, I wished maybe a little bit more in this movie. But you did get, I guess, the general gist of it from his interactions with Peggy.
Yeah, and also at some point, this is also the transition from Steve being stuck in the past to taking an active role in the modern world.
Yeah.
In the Avengers, he was just, okay, I guess this is what I have to do. But now it's like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I have to do.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to do this.
Yeah, poor Steve.
Yeah, poor Peggy.
At least she got
is
to live a
Cap...
life, Craig. Before Cap was gone, and everyone he knows when he wakes up is dead.
But speaking of Endgame cameos, we had Artem Zola back. And he had probably one of my favorite lines in the movie, and I don't think it was meant to be a joke, where he was a German scientist, and he goes, first correction, I'm Swiss. It's really not that funny, but me and Dan have always found it really funny how he has to correct him, like how Hitler wasn't actually German, he's Austrian.
He's Austrian,
But yes, I liked Artem Zola, and I like the fact they had him referenced his mechanical self. I know they said they were talking when they're writing the script, how they wanted to have him have a robot body and leave the facility, but same thing with Nick Fury. What are you going to do if he leaves the facility? Have this dangling plot thread for a decade and never resolve it. Just, they killed him off.
He
I know
served
he's a
his
big villain.
Yeah, he served
Yeah.
his little purpose. And I think people have to realize that in the comic books, you can get away with more villains in a storyline cuz you could do countless issues and storylines down the road.
And no one
But
dies.
you're more pressed for time in a movie, and it's a lot harder. You have to dedicate time to X amount of people. Otherwise, the characters will be superfluous and they wouldn't have
And,
an impact on the story.
well, not just that, you only have X amount of appearances in the universe as well. Most people are going to get a trilogy, maybe a few Avengers movies. You got to make sure whoever you pick better be important enough to have a big role in the movie or some role down the line. And you can't be, oh, wait, let's see what happens, like in a comic book. Maybe this guy is popular, we'll bring him back if fans like him. You have to be very economic with the characters you pick.
Yeah.
So I know he's a big character in the comics, but he wasn't going to have a role, and they killed off Hydra in Age of Ultron, so he wouldn't have had a role anyway to play. So it made the right call in this situation.
Oh, yeah. And plus, in the terms of the movie being more serious, it would have been silly with a giant robot running around.
I mean, they're already pushing the balance with putting his brain in a computer in the 70s.
Yeah. But just imagine how silly that would have been. A giant purple robot running around.
With his giant face on the chest and the camera looking around.
Yeah.
Well, I know people tried to praise this movie for being it is a more serious take, but people are trying to elevate it to something higher, which to me, I don't fully agree with. They're trying to say it's commentary on the surveillance and the police state. I really don't think there's much of a commentary on it because when you kind of cop out and have the villains be Hydra, there's not really much of a discussion to have. Like you're not going to side with the group of people want to take over the world. These,
Yeah,
crazy cultish leaders
if
who
the
want to
villain
police
was
state.
Shield at the end of the day, I think that would be the more proper commentary.
Yes. It is a bit of a cop out when you have very obvious bad guys running around doing bad guy things.
With historic evilness from the 40s. Like, it doesn't get more, I want to say comical, but more on the nose villainy than that, you know?
Yeah, because I've seen people try to really say this is why this transcends the comic book genre. It's like, okay, let's not get you're embarrassing yourself trying to elevate this. It's a good movie. I think it's got its merits being a good movie on its own. Like anything you could show it to most people, and I think they would enjoy the movie, even if they don't fully get all the context. But trying to say it has this commentary on the police state, it really doesn't. You have one scene in the beginning of Cap and Nick Fury kind of talking about their views on things, but it's not really. And I know it's been can't believe over 10 movies since this came out, and I still think it holds up very well.
Yeah. Do you want to leave that to the final thoughts then? That still holds up pretty well.
Because I know you're keeping track of the rankings, and I don't know.
Would you
You
put
don't
this
have a
in S
list.
tier? I don't. I'll go back. I think I'll have to listen before these episodes and before we get too far in the MCU. I'll go back and I'll tally where we rank them, and then I'll have that list soon.
So people always put Iron Man as the best MCU movie, or typically,
In the top, like the S or A. Yeah.
yes, but I dare I say, Colin, I put this ahead of Iron Man 1.
I think it's definitely a more overall solid movie than Iron Man. Not that Iron Man's bad. Iron Man's pretty good, but
Oh, I agree, but this to me
it's,
is
it's more of a complete
probably
movie.
it's got everything I like. For me, it's my favorite.
Of all the
Probably.
MCU movies?
I mean, maybe Infinity War, you
Right.
could argue. I did like Thor Ragnarok a lot too, but this one to me, I think is just the most well-rounded. Good.
It holds up pretty well. It's just as good as I remember. Give me one final sentence on what you think of this movie. And it can't be a run-on sentence.
Peak Cap.
Okay. Yeah, very great movie. I would recommend, semicolon, best of Marvel. One sentence there. You see what I did?
Cheating.
So, with all that being said, this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin,
I'm Craig.
and we will
Hail
see.
Hydra.
Oh, and we will see you next time. Now you can say it.
Hail Hydra.